Hi, I'm Dr. Carrie O'Neill. It's 2020. Virus, political nature of everything, Facebook blowing up, mask wearing, mask not wearing, all kinds of mayhem going on in the world, and believe me, at home too. And so I thought it would be kind of an interesting thing to start a quarantine confessions where people can write in Dear Abby-esque, for those of us back in the day, write in a confidential way and tell me what's going on in your homes and in your bedrooms. And to the degree that I can help you or inspire you or give you a tool, I will do it. So here's another one for quarantine confessions. This person writes in, "Hi, Dr. O'Neill. I have an issue in my relationship that I know I keep pushing aside, but it resurfaces often. I already deal with some PTSD from being in an abusive relationship with my ex, but on top of that, he frequently cheated on me. I've told my current partner/husband little of the actual abuse, but have told him about the cheating and emotional abuse. The problem is, about a month after having our child, I found out that he was still active on dating sites. He had introduced me to the lifestyle, as I'm always curious and into ethical non-monogamy. We had agreed from when we were dating that we'd be open and honest with each other. However, I keep finding that he is and has never been willing to talk or share anything that he does, but will instead get extremely upset when I catch him. Rather than be honest, he either gets extremely upset or simply feigns knowledge of what I've even found. Even if he's right next to me texting someone else, he says that's not true, or it's not a big deal. As if he doesn't understand that I'm upset that the betrayal stems from the fact that he won't be open and honest with me, as opposed to feeling as if I'm angry at the acts themselves. I'm not sure what to do. I constantly push this aside and tell myself that it isn't worth the trouble of him being upset, etc., but it feels wrong. I'm not sure if I can keep up this act for his sake. He is extremely agreeable when it comes to talking about anything else." Okay, there's a lot in this. Let me just start from the beginning. To this person with PTSD and trauma in their background, I encourage you to keep getting the help you need. If you are still triggered or highly sensitive about that, keep working on you. You will never regret the time and effort that you spend working on you. It affects every relationship you're in. Related to this piece about rather than he simply be honest, he becomes extremely upset or feigns knowledge, I want to call bullshit on that and highlight that those are diversion tactics. Don't fall for them. Keep the main thing the main thing. You either have an agreement to be open and honest, and I'm going to use the word transparent, or you don't. And to that end, I will also suggest that when you call somebody on their behavior and they get angry or they create a shitstorm over here so that you forget the point, all the diversion tactics, you would be better served if you continue to see a pattern of, I agree, I will assume it's a woman, gave birth. She says at the end, he's extremely agreeable when it comes to talking about anything. Yes, I probably believe that, let me say I've seen, I don't know the other half of this conversation, but I see people all the time giving lip service, extremely agreeable. But when the rubber hits the road and you need to live to the agreements you made and you continue to break them, that's a pattern worth looking at. She said, I constantly push it aside. I'm not sure if I can keep up the act for his sake. I keep telling myself it's not worth the trouble of him being upset if it feels wrong. I'm going to tell you two things. Number one, power dynamic. Do you have any power in this relationship? If you don't, and you have to stay in the relationship for financial means or whatever have you, if you have to stay for any other reason than love, integrity, and pleasure, then you probably will have to keep up this arrangement of letting him do whatever he wants, even though it's against your agreements. But in case you're in this relationship or have an interest in being in this relationship for the purpose of pleasure, integrity, mutually sharing the gifts that you have to offer with him and he wants them, and he shares gifts that he has and you want them, if that is the context of your relationship, writer, then I would love to suggest to you that every single relationship is comprised of the people that make it up, and each one needs to have their own voice and their own choice. Without it, it's definitely a one-sided relationship. And to the point of the dynamics that are happening in this write-in, I would suggest to you, go back to the agreement that you made, because with framework on the agreement, we will, we won't, there needs to always be a consequence, because agreements made between people are comprised of human beings. Mistakes will happen. They just will. So how can you factor that in and still be able to keep or at least contain the integrity of your relationship? I know I just said a lot in a couple of big sentences, but the point is this: if you have an agreement and somebody blows it, within that same agreement, you need one more piece, and that is the consequences. If you breach what we have agreed on, or if I breach what we have agreed on, the following is what is going to happen. And consequences don't have to be punitive. Do not misunderstand me. But they do provide structure. An example would be this. This was my example, actually. I just went to an event. We had agreed to socially distance. Well, the next thing I know, my partner is engaging closer than I felt comfortable with because of the social distancing. Okay. Now what are you going to do? Are you going to have a fight right there in the middle of Friday night? Are you going to make a scene? Or what's the consequence if you don't social distance, right? 2 weeks in quarantine. So in a kind and loving way, because there was probably not a lot of forethought about what was going on, I said, hey, if you choose to engage this way, I need to let you know we are going to social distance. If you can't social distance here, please understand we will be social distancing for the next 2 weeks, because this is what we valued. We valued health in our relationship, health in our household. As a consequence, people who engage with lots of sexual partners, another type of agreement they do is if someone doesn't remember to have a barrier or a condom, and they break whatever agreement they have for condom and barrier play, you know what the couple has to endure? But they don't have a lot of discussion about it. It's, I admit that I did the wrong thing. And so even though nobody wants to do it, 3 months of condom use between us until we get past the incubation period and go get tested. The point is this, those were just 2 examples. If you have agreements, you need to have consequences, because agreements made up of human beings chances are pretty good that somewhere along the way it'll happen. And consequences reflect the value you have. In your case, apparently you value the honesty. And as a matter of fact, you need it. So might I say, if you find that he is continually not being honest, what are the consequences for that? Obviously, there's the very big hammer of breakup. There could be other smaller hammers of, okay, maybe we don't. If I find that you can't be honest with this tool, lifestyle, with this tool, dating app, with this tool, whatever it is, then you know what? I really want to know that you have the integrity to be honest. And so maybe there's an incubation period there of absolutely zero contact. I don't care if you have something running. You're going to have to put it on ice to remind me that you value this. There's lots of different ways to come up with consequences, but look for the power in the relationship, who has it and who doesn't. If you want a relationship built on integrity, pleasure, mutual collaboration, then that's exactly what needs to happen. Both people need to have integrity. Both people do. And when it's one-sided, I'm going to suggest that there's very little consequence for poor behavior. And I'll suggest that you build that in. Hey, I'm Dr. O'Neill, and I'm telling you, it's never really easy, but it gets easier when you know frameworks and tools and you have disciplines. Keep writing in, keep trying. I know you'll find your way.